Hey, welcome to DNH Sports, number one Bengals podcast. I have a very special guest. I'm talking about the greatest podcaster of the Bengals in the history of podcasting, in the history of Bengals, not just the team, but in terms of the animal and basically my favorite podcaster, Mr. Ace Boogie, who is here at a very special moment when I think the Bengals have come of age. Wouldn't you say so?
Oh, definitely, bro. I think that this team is completely different from what we've seen in the past, and I think just looking at the onset of this game, I'm glad that it started like that because a lot of us were frustrated, but the second half was just this team is different, bro.
Yeah, I mean that fourth and one call, bold, beautifully executed, very aggressive execution. Jamar Chase was out there blocking like a beast. I mean,
Yes,
he pancaked the guy. And I was thinking the Bengals were like, people were like, should they get the blocker or should they get the number one receiver? And they got both with one pick. It was amazing.
definitely was. I thought that was quite ironic that Jamar Chase comes out and springs a block on a touchdown. And still finishes the game with I believe 94 receiving yards. Has his impact felt in both ways in a game that ends out in a blowout fashion. So I think that you're right about that. That was funny to see that happen in a game like this, especially with the matchup between Chase and Panay.
Yeah. Hey, it was such a positive game, such a uplifting game. And we have the most positive Bengals fan out there. I'm talking about the guy who has always found the silver linings and has always been behind the team, has really shut down a lot of people who have said bad things about the team. And that's Mr. Bengals Captain, who's going to join us right now.
Hooday!
Who day? Let's get it.
I mean,
This feels good.
yeah,
Oh man, it's been a while.
it's been a while. It's been a while. And here's the thing. Here's my take, Mr. Captain and Mr. Boogie. I look at this team and they played a bad team, an 0-5 team. But a lot of people saying, oh, maybe the Lions pulled it off because they were close against good teams like the Packers. And I was thinking, wait a second. We took the Packers to overtime. Wait a second. We're a good team. And so we did what we should have done, which is completely obliterate a team
Yep.
that is rebuilding. We are
And
not
no one
on
else has done it yet.
yeah. We
No
were
one
like,
else has done it
oh,
yet. That's right.
don't compare us. Do not compare us. We are not on the no, no, we are good. You are bad. And we went out there and honestly, we could have hung 50 on them. I predicted us to put 55 up against them. And I said the Lions would get a late touchdown, be 55-7. We had Jerry Ball on our show. He got very upset. He said, yeah, if that happens, he said, that's not going to happen. And if it does happen, we won't let you leave Detroit. We won't let the players. I said, is it because you're going to try to keep all our players so you have a better roster? And he got very upset. He got very upset. And I mean, we didn't put up 55, but I think it's because we of our honor. We it was a gentleman. We didn't want to
Yeah.
embarrass them. Yeah, at home. It's rude. But we could have put up, yeah. But I mean, every aspect of the game. I mean, the running game was so efficient, was so powerful. We finally got Evans involved in the passing game. I mean,
Yes.
Evans was such a factor. He's like a young Giovanni Bernard. And then we
Oh
had,
yeah.
yeah,
I actually put Evans in my lineup because I heard a little tiny rumor that the play that he scored on was gonna he was gonna be targeted at least once, and I'm like yes, because man, I tell you what, my running backs are all hurt. It's a mess out there in fantasy land.
Yeah, it is. It is. I'm with you on that one. And I was just glad to see Evans. I mean, I feel like we've been kind of clamoring for this as a fan base for a while, right? After we saw what he was able to do in the preseason. And to see him out there on that drive was just exhilarating and exciting. And when he caught that touchdown, I just knew that it was going to be one. When we saw it go up, I'm like, oh, here it is.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
super excited for him too. I mean, the extension. We saw a lot of balls hit hands today that didn't result in completions, and he hauled that in. Absolutely amazing play.
and I mean the defense, Trey Hendrickson. I mean, the man completely manhandled Penei Sewell. Now, Sewell is a good rookie. He's a good player. And Trey
Yeah.
Hendrickson, just like the Bengals as a team, he came out. He's like, okay, yes, he's a good rookie. I am a good NFL player. I am one of the top edge rushers in the league. Now watch what I do.
Right.
And he came out and it was play after play after play. It's like every play he was getting a QB pressure. He had one sack, but I mean, it could have been like five.
Yeah, it
Oh yeah,
seemed like it was at least 2 or 3. I mean, I think one of them was only not a sack because he was past the line of scrimmage, but Hendrickson was there all day today. It just seemed like, and even on that, I think it was a 4th down where Goff scrambles out and ends up throwing it out of bounds. Like Hendrickson was just in his face every single play. And this defense is special, man. I think at first I was thinking maybe top 10. This might be a top 5 defense. I know it's just Detroit. I'm not trying to get too far ahead of myself, but the way that this team is playing on defense, I think they have top 5 defense potential in the NFL, the way that they're playing.
You said it. I mean, Detroit's looked a lot better against other teams. So
And I think it's a fair statement because you don't get to top 10 without having the game that they had against Detroit. Yeah, I think it's completely fair. This whole but the Lions, I know all of our critics are going to say, but it was the Lions. You know what? To get to that top 5, you've got to have the game they had, and they did. And Hendrickson, Bengals fans, listen to me, please. When you are freaking out and you're like, oh, Mike Brown sucks, blah, 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 this and that, crying, remember how many times you've been wrong because the Hendrickson thing, oh, my goodness, people lost their mind. Scroll through the timelines of different people. I'm not going to be a Bengals fan anymore. I give up. Screw this team. Blah, blah, blah. And in fact, we upgraded with Cheeto and Hendrickson.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I felt the same about, like you said, Cap. When I watched the film on Hendrickson last year, I saw a lot of people saying that it was fake sacks and stuff like that. When I watched the film, I didn't see that. I just saw a guy that was beating good quality left tackles. I mean, obviously Cam Jordan is a great player, but it didn't seem like Cam Jordan was really influencing that guy. And I jumped out on a limb and was just like, I think this guy's at least getting 10 sacks. And I always felt as well, like you said, with Carl Lawson, that's my guy, but he only had, 4 sacks last year. All you have to do to beat that, to upgrade, is essentially get more sacks than that. And I think Hendrickson has definitely done that. I think you also talked about Cheeto as well. Cheeto's been my guy as well. I think that they definitely upgraded from that aspect as well. I mean, the Bengals just ended up kind of getting it right in the grand scheme of things. When you talk about free agency, there's some potential things that they could have done in the draft, but overall, you have to look at the job that they've done. And I mean, the results speak for themselves.
The past 2 drafts. I mean, look at Logan Wilson.
Wilson is a monster, bro.
Do you remember the fans complaining about all the linebacker picks in that draft? Oh, I remember. And look, it's coming to play. Finally, it took a little time. We're seeing it.
Hey, I want to welcome Mr. John Sheeran to the show. Our great
Hello, boys.
analyst.
What's up, John?
Woo!
John, of course, was writing about 8 articles about how great the Bengals' performance on CincyJungle.com. Go read all those articles. And he finished those and he came to our show. John, we are basically here. We don't know what to do with our emotions right now. We are so happy. The Bengals had their breakout game. They had their here we are game. And they had the one where it's like, hey, we are a good team and we defeat bad teams badly. We are going to destroy them. That's what they did today. And all the talk about the Bengals were 3.5-point favorites. Like, oh, is that a good? Oh, I don't know if they're going to win 3.5. Come on, man. I knew they're going to blow them out. Come on. Look at John, what did you see today?
I mean, I think the conversation was the Lions were going to play hard, but it's hard for bad teams to play hard and win because they're bad. We can say what we want about the Bengals. The Lions are just that bad. They really are. Like, people were talking about how they were like the best 0-5 team in the league right now, or like the only 0-5 team right now. Like, they're just bad. Like, the Bengals did this because they're bad, and it took them a couple quarters to figure that out. But that's what happens when you have that much talent and your defense is just smothering Jared Goff because he's Jared Goff. Like, it's not too complicated to figure out.
Yeah, I mean, there were a few plays, John, where the Bengals on the special teams or the block by Chase and the run, the Joe Mixon touchdown. Ace, if you have to leave, man, it's fine.
No, you're good.
Own show. Okay. But there were a few plays, John, where it was like the Bengals were playing with attitude. They were playing like, it was basically like they were offended that they had to play the line. It's like if you ask the Bengals to play some European football team, right? And
it is rare to see that. It is rare to see that in the NFL when the other team is just so disrespected by what they have to face against. Like that talent disparity does not exist every single week, but that's that's what it was. That's how
Yeah,
bad the Lions are.
that's how good the Bengals were. I mean, a lot of teams would have been. Look, the Lions haven't lost by how many? What are the most they lost by before? That's what the Bengals did to them all day. What Captain's doing the whole day, just left, right, punch in the face.
Yeah, I mean, I think I came out early this week because there was a lot of people that were like, oh, we can't look past the Lions and this and that. And I was just like, look, this team just needs to blow this team out. Like, we need one of these games where they go into a game where they show the difference between, a good team versus a bad team. And in general, the Bengals have kind of struggled with that in history, in recent history at least. And we haven't really had that just blowout win. And I saw a lot of that before the game. And it was like the Bengals should they should blow this team out. This is what they should have done. So for them to come out there and do it, especially with the struggles that they had, because we kind of saw what we've kind of seen from them in the past, where they let some of these bad teams hang in the game with early mistakes and just punts and all kind of stuff like that. So you kind of felt at the beginning that this could be headed down that path. And, I felt like, and when I did my halftime recap, I thought that they should have been up 21-0 at the half instead of, 10-0. And so for them to come out and handle business, I think that was good, especially for them to do it on the road, especially with the game that's coming into next week. I think that was something. And they also worked through some injuries that they had there with Trey Hill. I didn't expect Trey Hill to start. I was kind of shocked that Trey Hill ended up starting there. But they were able to roll with the punches and come out with a huge victory.
I mean, I would say this. No one has been more positive about the Bengals than Mr. Bengals Captain. Ace has always been very positive, very supportive. John, my man, John Sheeran, has been one of the most public defenders of Zach Taylor's play calling in recent weeks. He said, guys, it's not, he's doing his job in terms of play calling. This was the first week that I really saw it. I really saw the vision. The play calling clicked. Everything clicked. The running game, the passing game, the decisions, the aggressiveness. It was exactly what I expected from the Bengals. And coincidentally, it was the first time we put up 30 points. So, I mean, you combine this progress with the primetime win, and we're getting everything we always wanted from the Bengals for the past, 31 years.
And still, think about all the times that we missed execution. And I'm not talking about like wild, difficult to, we're outmanned. Everything's the wrong fit. But the easy stuff, like Burrow not airmailing, to somebody and ends up incomplete, thankfully. If we clean up a little bit more, balls hitting guys in the hands, that should be an easy catch. We clean up a little bit more, we've got another 2-3 touchdowns, like you said. So, there's still, every time a second long run comes up, I cringe, but every team does it. We just don't want them doing it every time.
Yeah.
So there's still room for improvement, absolutely there's room for improvement, but execution to me is going to be key. These players, that guy right there has the ability.
Yeah. Everybody's waiting for the T. Higgins breakout game, and it is coming, John.
Yeah, I think when you talk about Zach, I'm not going to sit there and say that he's like the perfect play caller any stretch by any means, but I think when people start saying, and I saw it in my stream during the game, like there was that play where Higgins and Boyd kind of ran into each other because there was a miscommunication and people were blaming Zach Taylor. And I'm like, how do you blame him for guys running into each other? It's one thing to call like a second down run or something like that, right? That doesn't make sense, but you can't blame the guy for something like that happening on a play. And so I think with Zach, the one thing that I will say about him, because I haven't been his biggest fan. I mean, if you go back and read some of the stuff that I've talked about on him or watch it, I've been kind of up and down on him given the circumstances, but I felt like this was a season where he's got his guys, give him a chance. They're building an offense. And I feel like he's a guy that the one thing that I can say about him that Marvin didn't do is anything that people criticize him about, he at least tries to work on it. He tries to do something to kind of fix it and get better at that. And I think that that's his best attribute because he's not like Marvin where you get those smart press conferences and he'd be like, well, we're going to do what we're going to do because we know what we're doing. And it's like, clearly you don't. And I think that with Zach, he's not afraid to go back to the drawing board and try something different because, I mean, personally for me, I was kind of shocked that he took Chris Evans out of the game after that drive where they had so much success. And then in the second half, he brings Chris Evans back into the game. So he's not a guy that's afraid to punt from what he thinks is the best thing and go back on that. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I was going to cut off Dadio because that's usually what he does to me. But this game was like the exact opposite of, at least in the first half, of what has usually been going on, because usually it's been dry spells in the beginning and then they get some 2-minute warning magic with Jamar Chase. They come out with a play 61-yard touchdown drive and then go turnover, punt, punt, punt. And, as Ace was saying, with that miscommunication on the screen, we look at that and I think we automatically default to see talented players messing up or bad execution, then we immediately go to coaching, because there's no way these guys can be this good and messing up this bad. What are they being taught? What are they being told? Why are there not being adjustments made on the sideline and stuff like that? Sometimes players mess up, and I think that was the case last week against the Packers oftentimes, and I think it was the case in some of these games, in some of these drives this week. With those 3 straight punts, though, I look at those drives and in my notes, like a lot of it was unfortunately on the offensive line. Like Reeve got called for holding, I think set back a drive, like Trey Hill got called for a holding and false start in 2 consecutive plays. Then Reeve had a miscommunication on a blitz off the edge and forced Burrow to be sacked. Like, you're looking at a situation where Burrow almost threw an interception, probably should have thrown an interception, and immediately followed up with a big time throw to Chase down the sideline. Like, that is the value of having that quarterback, though, because when everything is not necessarily clicking, you have mistakes being made, and you have almost a huge mistake from your franchise quarterback for him to be able to turn back like 30 seconds later and throw that pass and lead it to a field goal at the end of the first half. Like, that is the Joe Burrow effect right there.
Yeah,
Facts.
I mean, I do think that Zach Taylor, like you were saying, Ace, can be more flexible and open-minded than Marvin, because his offense is built around one man. So it's like, what's working for Burrow? Let's do that.
One very handsome man.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
look, the thing about Burrow, is, like, it's like every week he shows off a new element of his game. I mean, that Thursday night game when he was rolling to his side, and now he's getting Uzama involved. He's got this kind of like touchdown tight end guy. I mean, he's just developing. He's just exploring. He's still learning the league, and so they keep adding elements to the offense built around him, and that's why I think they're evolving. But at the same time, I think Joe is fortunate to have a coach like Zach, who, first of all, doesn't have his own identity yet. He's still developing, and then also has the personality where he's going to attach his success and develop his offense around his quarterback. So it's a good match. I think it's a good match. Okay, I don't want to take any more of Ace's time. He's got a show, and his show actually has more than 3 viewers. We have 16. That's a record for us, Ace. 16. This is what Ace has in the waiting room before he starts. It's up to like 100. But that is all we have. I'm so thankful for Mr. Captain being here to celebrate, because I think for once I can be as positive as him. That's how great I feel today. And Mr. Ace, who's a diehard, hardcore supporter of the team forever. And Mr. John Sheeran, who obviously brings us down to reality and breaks things down as beautifully as anybody. So with that, thank you, and we will see you next time. So long. It's Sweetie.
Who dey?
Who dey?